Guys, we have one of the all-time greats with us now, Georges St-Pierre. George, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Well, let me ask you about the main event we have coming up on Saturday night in a division that you ruled for so long. How do you see Usman and Masvidal playing out?
Well, it's going to be a hell of a fight. You know, as a fan, you know, I cannot ask for a better matchup, you know. On one side, you have one fighter as like Usman, who's very well-rounded. He's not the best at anything, but he's very good at everything. And on the other side, you have Masvidal, who's a very durable fighter, and he can knock you out in a split second. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting matchup. We'll see how it's going to play out.
Well, you were the best at everything for seemingly forever, and now you have been trying your hand at acting for quite some time now, a new Disney Plus series. Have you been able to take anything from fighting that helps you with the acting game?
Well, I was acting pretty much all my life, you know, in fighting. You know, every time I was walking towards the octagon to fight, I was very scared, terrified. I was extremely uncomfortable. But you put on a mask and you try to look like you're excited and you can't wait to be there. You're a little bit on a cruise control. I'm sure all these guys, they do the same thing. They're all extremely nervous and scared. But when you fight, you can't show your hand. It's like when you play card, you know. You have to go out there and then put it all on the line and do it with confidence. And confidence is a choice of mine.
George, you are the absolute king of rematches, avenged every loss that you ever had in the UFC. Jorge's coming into a very tough fight, a rematch for him. What is your advice on the mentality that you have to bring to these rematches?
Well, last time, apparently, he took the fight on 6 days' notice, and he did very well. You know, he stuffed a lot of Kamaru, Usman takedown. I think, if I remember well, he won the first round. And now he's going to be better prepared for this. So this physical condition will be much better. On the other hand, Usman got all the tools. He's a very complete fighter. You know, he's not a specialist. I mean, his specialty is mostly wrestling, but I mean, he's very good everywhere. So Usman, the way I see it, has a chance to lead the fight wherever he wanted to be. On the other hand, Masvidal has a chance to surprise everybody. He has that knockout power and that precision that he can end the fight at any given time. So it's a great matchup.
Listen, you had some of the best wrestling in the division at the time. Jorge is going in there against the best wrestler of the division right now. If you were cornering Jorge Masvidal, what would your corner advice be to him?
Well, now he's got a great physical condition. I think he needs to put pressure. I think Jorge needs to make sure he puts pressure on Kamaru Usman, you know, and he needs to do that and right off the bat. On the other hand, Usman cannot only go out there and pretend and show his hand, show his game right in the beginning and try to go for a takedown right off the bat. I think he needs to hide it a little bit. He will need at some point to exchange with Jorge Masvidal, and I believe that's where it's dangerous for him. But he needs to do it. It's a must in order to bring the fight where he's at his best, which is on the ground, or Jorge Masvidal is with his back against the fence.
George, now that you're retired, you know, I'm in the same situation. How much time are you spending in the gym helping the new guys training up in Canada right now? Because your name keeps getting brought up in the fighter meetings, and they're telling us how important you are to the journey that these young fighters are on.
Well, unfortunately, now everything is closed in Canada because of COVID. So, but when it was open, and I'm still hanging out with them, you know, a lot of time when I travel, I go in the gyms. I have a pretty much the same training that I used to have when I was training full-time as a professional mixed martial art competitor, to tell you the truth. I love training. I love the science of it. And I'm a martial artist. I train because for me it's also a therapy. I love to feel confidence. I love what martial art brings me, the fitness and everything. And you know what I mean? I will never stop. You know, I will until I die. You know, I will keep doing this until I die. So I like to train with the young guys. It keep me on edge. For sure, at one point, I'll feel that my physicality will start to diminish, but my knowledge will always increase. That's a beautiful thing about martial art. You can cheat in a way with knowledge and efficiency, even though your physicality is going down a little bit.
Khabib says the same thing in terms of his training. But, George, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. Let's get to the poutine of the situation. Captain America or the Falcon? Who's the better fighter? And I'm wondering, how in the world, George, are you making these guys look so good in terms of combat in these fight scenes? Because it has been fantastic. But for me, I want to know, who's the better fighter? Is it Cap or is it the Falcon?
I'm going to tell you the truth. Cap they're different. Cap has a crazy serum that makes him so strong and it boosts his endurance. However, the Falcon has many gadgets, and now he has the shield, and he can fly on top of that, but he does not have the strength and endurance. So my character, Batroc, has got much better as a fighter. You see him his last time he fought Falcon, he performed a double leg takedown slams, which is something he would not have done against Cap. So I'm not sure. I don't know who's the best, but I know my character is involved, and he's better than he was before. So watch out for the next showdown.
My man.
George, you ruled the welterweight division for years, and it was obviously a different time back then. What are some of the biggest differences that you know from back then to when you ruled to what it is today?
Well, I'm going to say it like it is, and as painful it could be for a fighter, because we all work towards a goal. We want to have legacy. But like any other sport, we have to admit that the performance got better over time. And if you don't believe me, because fighting, it's a very subjective thing, you have to look at sport that where you can measure the performance. For example, 100-meter Olympic liftings, you can measure, and you see with time, the record are always beaten. The athlete, the athlete not necessarily get better, but because the technology, the knowledge is better, the performance get better. And it's the same thing in mixed martial art. I believe fighters of today are better than the one of yesterday, and the fighter of tomorrow, as good as the fighter of today are, the fighters of tomorrow generally will be better than the fighters of today. And this is due to knowledge, technology, stuff that we didn't have. Like Einstein saying, we stand on shoulders of giants, because all the mistakes that the previous generation have made, this one does not have to do the same mistake, because that knowledge has been passed down to them.
Now, the welterweight division has always been one of the most competitive and great divisions of the UFC. And so we always talk about the Mount Rushmore of welterweights. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore?
On the welterweight, well, I got to put Royce Gracie there. Royce Gracie is the number one guy because he was in all division. I consider a welterweight and heavyweight and everything. I would have to put also Matt Hughes. I think BJ Penn was there too, and also you have Kamaru Usman now, who's without a doubt the top guy right now.
George, finally, before we let you go, we're doing a UFC draft. All the fighters on the current roster are in the pool. If you are putting together a UFC team, female fighters, male fighters, the whole current roster, nobody who's retired, they have to be active. Give me your first pick and your second pick.
Wow, it's I would say Amanda Nunes has to be number one in a way, and Khabib Nurmagomedov. But Khabib is he retired? Or he said he is, but they still put him in as champion right now. So I'm gonna have to put him there as him and Nunes. You know, like they're both #1 right now, I would say.
George, I got to just say this before we let you go. Everybody was pining for you to come back, but with that Hollywood hair that you now have, there's no more fighting. Georges St-Pierre, that hair says Hollywood. That hair says actor. I know this dude's retired.
That's
dude's
the elephant
retired,
in the
right?
room. I was going to say something about that
dude's
too.
retired, man.
He's retired.
George, with that beautiful head of hair you got now.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. I was doing the French commentator when Khabib fought Justin Gaethje. And I didn't know, like I was like everybody else. I had butterfly at the end because I was like, man, because they had big rumors going on that he was going to call me out, and I didn't know if it was true. And I was like, man, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna come back for this one? And when he retired, I guess like, you know, like there's this line. I think it's in Godfather of Al Pacino. Says, when I thought I was done, they brought me. They brought me right back in, you know what I mean? So that's how I felt. But now I'm glad everything is done, and you know what I mean? It's all good, you know?
Oh, man, you are so fun to talk to. We could do this forever, George. Obviously a Hall of Famer now. Your official induction going to be happening this summer, so congratulations on that. I know we're all looking forward to seeing it. And thank you so much for your time, George. Enjoy the fights this Saturday.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be a great card. And, yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on the show.